Hey everyone, this is Shane Greer, co-owner and co-publisher of Campaigns and Elections, back for another Campaign Insider, this time with Nick Daggers of the 1833 Group. But before, as always, thanks to our sponsor, Propulsky Research, for opinion research on politics and public policy. Nick, you just had an article published on campaignsandelections.com, which I enjoyed it a lot because there's so much focus at the moment on small dollar donations and how they're kind of driving everything at the top of the ticket. But the point you're kind of making is that, listen, that's good for some candidates, but not for the vast majority of candidates. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So, as much as everybody would love to have that viral moment or be able to put out a tweet and have, tons and tons of followers, chip in $15, $27 at a time, that's just not the reality for most candidates. Most congressional campaigns, candidates are lucky if they're starting with 500 followers on Facebook, 500 followers on Twitter, and an email list that, maybe cracks 1,000. And, starting off with something super small like that, it's really hard to just break through. And on top of that, it's a really crowded fundraising market right now in congressional campaigns. I think while we're seeing this, so-called, I think I saw it as the green wave today. Mm-hmm. That's true for a lot of campaigns, but there's a lot of ones that are just kind of stuck in the middle and are just trying to break through the noise. And I think a lot of those are in the tougher districts that we're going to see challenges put up in 2020.
Yeah, and when we get to kind of call time, I think it's one of those things that again, it's kind of been overshadowed by the small dollar talk. Can you just kind of frame for your average candidate, running at the congressional level or below, how much time should they be expecting to put in each day for their race?
Yeah. So, I mean, traditionally, the DCCC, Emily's List, major groups like that have recommended that candidates do upwards of 40 hours a week of call time, which, for a lot of candidates just isn't possible. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that we've done at our firm to try to make that a better process, we've implemented utilizing some pieces of technology that allow our candidates to make 40, 50 calls an hour. Whereas traditionally, you're looking at 12, a dozen to 20 calls. And so, I mean, candidates are definitely going to see a bigger return for the more time that they put in. But there's also a limit to that. And there's so many donors out there. And there's really only, certain times that you can do that. You can't, calling at 8 a.m. on a Sunday, isn't comparable to calling at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. So, trying to find those best times too is I think just as important as the raw quantity.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the kind of process of dialing for dollars, because the traditional starting point is kind of friends and family, right? Yeah. Getting out the Rolodex, or obviously not the actual Rolodex anymore, but you get that out and you start calling people. But broaden that for me. What does this process look for? Let's say a new candidate that's coming in.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, you're absolutely right. That's the first place we start. And I tell candidates all the time, if the people that know you best aren't going to give to you, nobody's going to give to you.
Yeah.
It's funny that a lot of candidates would rather call complete strangers and do cold calls than call, their cousin or, their former college roommate. Yeah. And so that's where we start, and then we try to work our way out from there. We try to find what's unique about a candidate, and we try to find what's different about them. And that's really where we try to start is, whatever's unique about them, that's where we're going to try to drill down. And so, I use one example. We're working with a state legislator that works at a national lab. And so what we're looking for there is, we're going to look for, donors that share a similar background, because as somebody with a STEM and a science and an engineering background, that's something that's a little bit different. That's something that's a little bit unique. That brings a unique perspective to Congress. And, and we're seeing, it's kind of like taking the Emily's model of, I'm a woman, you're a woman, we're both pro-choice, let's support them. And we're trying to broaden that to different things that are unique about candidates.
And when you're, again, it's such a, especially for new candidates, it's such a foreign thing to be doing, right? Whether it's someone or you don't know. How do you ease a candidate into that?
Yeah, it's, unfortunately, with the kind of just rigors of campaign life now, there's, we ease them in head first, we jump right in. we'll do some role playing with it. We'll draft a few scripts. We'll make sure that they're comfortable. I think the really important thing is trying to cater that message specifically to that donor. We have another client who's a public school teacher running for Congress, and he was just calling just cold calling donors. Hi, I'm running for Congress. Yeah, okay, great. But when he would say, I'm a public school teacher running for Congress, their ears, we could hear their ears perk up over the phone. We could hear them get a little bit more interested. Say, okay, well, that's an interesting background. I think we've got enough lawyers in Congress. Tell me why we should send a teacher there.
Yeah.
And so, and that's really the key to it, is that, there's no magic list. There's no magic formula. We really try our best to find out what's unique about these candidates. And, that will hopefully lead us into the money.
One thing that we hear time and time again, especially after presidential cycles, like you think back to 2008, after 2008, everyone wanted to run a campaign like Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And maybe on the Republican side, after 2016, a lot of Republicans down ballot wanted to run campaigns like Donald Trump. And the reality is the vast majority of campaigns down the ballot, including Senate campaigns and on down, cannot run campaigns like the top of the ballot, and certainly not like once in a generation candidate type people. Do you find with this issue, because of there's so much talk about small dollar, and you look at the tweet the other day from AOC, which you mentioned in your article, she's like, I haven't spent any time dialing for dollars. Do you find that there is pushback from candidates who have a totally different perception of it? And if so, how do you push back against that?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's absolutely right. I feel like after 2008, I was just telling people, you're not Barack Obama. You're not Barack Obama. And now it's, you're not Bernie Sanders. You're not going to, send out an email and, raise, $50,000, $27 at a time. I mean, and a lot of times, as much as I just want to be like, listen, no, that's not who you are. You can't do that. It's not that easy. I try to use the math. I sit down with a spreadsheet and I say, look, if we have 1,000, we're starting with 1,000 emails, and 20% of those are going to open them. 3% of those that open are going to give. That's how much money we just raised, and trying to explain to the candidates that it's you have to build up to that scale. And, I also try to stress to them that, one of the things about call time is it's ridiculously efficient and it's effective. Donors are getting so many emails every single day from the DCCC, from the DNC, from 25 presidential campaigns, that they can't keep up. And, I think you've got to try to break through that noise. And, unfortunately, I think on the email side, it's about quantity over quality, that you just got to get as big of a list as you can and hope that you find a couple of diamonds in the rough. Mm-hmm. Whereas call time is more about really trying to have those good conversations, really trying to connect with donors and get the donor to be like, all right, cool. You know what? You bring up, I hear what you're saying. I support that. And you know what? I'm going to give you $500. And you can't connect with donors like that, through email.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Nick, I appreciate your time today. Do check out Nick's article at campaignsandelections.com. Of course, also check out our other video interviews at campaignsandelections.com on the video page and on the Campaigns and Elections Facebook page. Nick, thank you. Thanks again to our sponsor, Podolsky Research, for opinion research on politics and public policy.